And we are now on chapter 8, which focuses on the separate financial statements and the application of PAS 27. So we will explore the purpose, scope, and key measurement choices available to an entity when it prepares its individual, non-consolidated financial statements. So the learning objectives are for you to be able to clearly state when PAS 27 applies and comprehensively describe the three alternative measurement bases allowed for investments in separate financial statements. So PAS 27 is a very specific standard. It prescribes the accounting and disclosure rules for investment in subsidiaries, associates, and joint ventures only when an entity prepares separate financial statements. Importantly, PAS 27 does not mandate which entity must produce separate financial statements. Okay? It only comes into play when an entity chooses or is required by law to present separate financial statements that comply with the Philippine Financial Reporting Standards. So a separate financial statement is essentially a non-consolidated set of books for the parent entity, okay? And it is presented in addition to the consolidated financial statements. Alternatively, an entity might prepare separate financial statements if it doesn't have subsidiaries but does have investments in associates or joint ventures that under PAS 8 would typically be accounted for using the equity method. So, the separate financial statements serve to show the performance of the parent entity on a standalone basis. When preparing a separate financial statement, we follow all the PFRS except for the accounting of investments in subsidiaries, associates, and joint ventures because for this specific investments, PAS 27 gives the entity a choice of three measurement bases. The entity may adopt the cost method, the fair value method in accordance with PFRS 9, or the equity method following PAS 28. So let's compare the key characteristics of these three methods as outlined in the table. So for the cost method, the investment is measured at its initial cost, less any accumulated impairment losses, and dividends received are recognized directly in profit or loss when the entity's right to receive them is established. Okay? And then for the fair value method, the investment is subsequently measured at its fair value, and the changes in fair value, the unrealized gains or losses, are recognized either in profit or loss or in other comprehensive income. And in accordance with PFRS 9, and then similar to cost method, dividends are recognized in profit or loss when the right is established. And then for the equity method, the investment is continuously adjusted for the investor share in the changes in the equity of the investee, like profit or OCI. And then under this method, dividends are treated as a reduction to the carrying amount of the investment as they represent a return of capital and not income. So as a key takeaway, so it's very important to understand these three measurement bases because this will be critical in analyzing the parent company's individual performance.